we've had, like warts and all, we've had some proper blazing rows over things.
Yeah.
I remember once you said, as you walked into a project, one of the builders had said something to you, and they'd said, oh, well, Shareen said, do this. And you went, Shareen's not paying your bills.
She's not paying your bills. You do as I say. Hi guys, it's Arsh Ellahi, and in today's video I'm joined by someone very special, someone very dear to me, shall we say. She's not here right now, but I want to introduce you.
Are you talking about your mum?
Yeah. Mrs. E Senior's not here, but let me introduce you to Mrs. E, Mrs. Ellahi, Shareen, my wife.
Hi everyone.
So the reason why I brought Shareen on is because I thought it'd be interesting just to get a different perspective to property. Women in property, shall we call it. More importantly, couples working together, because property can be a lonely journey. And if you've got someone that's supportive, that you can bounce ideas back off, and sometimes almost like a mini pat on the back. And believe it or not, sometimes I need that. Would you agree, Shareen?
Yeah.
This isn't really going to go to a plan, really, is it?
No, keep going. I'll be serious. Go on.
Okay, this is a one take, so this is all in. So before we do that, I need a small favour from you. If you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. I'm not sure where that points, by the way. But yeah, let's get rolling with this. So let's get moving on. So Shareen.
Yes. Tell you a bit about myself. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Right, okay. I used to be a primary school teacher. So when I met Arsh, I was a primary school teacher. And believe it or not, Arsh was like the worst kid at school. You know, the one that would like set fire to plants and throw them at the science room window? It was him. So if
you're watching, hello, Mr. Charlie. Hello.
So yes, I was a primary school teacher and I was pretty much married to my job. I worked ridiculous amounts of hours, always made my classroom look amazing. I worked in reception at the time, so my role play area was phenomenal. I always did lots of really amazing things to my classroom. I always had a passion for, I think, interiors. Fast forward a few years later, we had children. I was a deputy head teacher of a primary school at the time, and sadly I never got to see my own children. Arsh was really busy. You were doing a lot of property networking at the time. You were traveling a lot, late nights, you were doing a lot of speeches, you were doing courses, and I just felt like there was nobody that was there to be the parent for our children. So luckily Arsh supported me in handing in my notice and staying at home and being a stay-at-home parent. And
that wasn't always the case though, because during that period it was a tough time for you as well. Do you agree?
Yeah, it was horrible. I felt like I really lost my purpose because I'd only ever known work, I'd only ever known teaching, and for me that was where I felt that I got my sense of worth from and my sense of purpose. And I was always really proud of being that. I was always really proud of being a teacher. And I remember sort of friends saying that they were really surprised when I gave it up because they said it's just not something we'd imagined you would do. So yeah, I probably had about a year and a half of you trying to convince me to go into property with you, and I'd always said no. I said no, it's not for me, it's not what I want to do, I'm not passionate about it, I don't understand it. I think that was my big thing. I don't understand it, I don't know enough about it.
Do you understand it now?
Still no.
No, right. So let's get moving forward. So fast forward. So at that point we started, I think I probably threw you in at the deep end. I think, was it one of the projects was One Park Crescent, was it?
No, before that, Cornwall.
Yes.
We took Cornwall on, and you, in the January, you said, do you fancy a house in Cornwall?
And you said no, and I said, okay, well, let's do it anyway.
Every project.
So yeah, Shareen does generally say no to every project. I'm not sure whether that comes out of fear.
Imposter syndrome, isn't it? I think so many women suffer from it. You always think you're not worthy, you think you're not good enough, you think you can't do it, until you do it, and then you realise you are.
But do you say no to the projects? And just give me an example. You were very adamant that we weren't going to do our latest project, and for some reason I just said, yeah, well, we've got to do it. Is it the fear of that you're worried about the outgoing, you're worried about the risk? What is it?
I think it's the pressure of, what if I don't do it justice? What if I don't do it well enough? And
do you worry about the business side of it or no?
I think if you weren't here, yes, I would. I know that I've got...
So hang on, you saying that on the brains?
I'm the beauty.
All right, okay. Just checking.
I think, yeah, I feel more secure knowing that you've done the numbers. And I think this last project that we did, I think going through that whole process of, right, okay, how much do we need to make a night? How much occupancy do we need to do? How much do we need to break even? How much do we need to do to turn a profit? And to watch you kind of do all of that really helped me understand. So yeah, I think I understood it a little bit more. And then now when I'm doing things like I'm listing properties, I'm like, okay, I've got to be able to do that in order to reach that amount in in order to turn that profit.
Okay, so let's go back. I feel like we've jumped about a bit. So we left school, we then started Cornwall, and then Cornwall alone has allowed you to replace your income. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I suppose the best way of describing this is that, so I acquire the properties, I try and strategically acquire the properties, whichever way it may be, whether we acquire in terms of purchase, whether we do something like a rent-to-rent, whether we do a lease option. And we've got in our small portfolio, so away from all the other stuff that I've done previously, Shareen and I, we created a portfolio and we called this the kids portfolio in essence. So we've built 2 companies specifically for our kids, and every time we acquire a property, we put it in that specific company, and they are quite tax efficient. So if you have got family or you're looking to create something for your family, definitely get tax advice, because otherwise you will just end up, if something ever happens to me or something ever happens to Shareen, the kids get lumbered with our portfolio, they'll get hit with massive inheritance tax. So little tip for you, before you start, make sure you get tax advice, make sure it is property specific tax advice, and they can guide you through any unfortunate eventualities that could happen and what the consequences are for the people that you leave behind. That's a bit of a sad note, but anyway. So Cornwall allowed you to replace your income. So I think that was a big thing for you, security. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think, as a mum and as somebody who was always quite fiercely independent, that was important to me, and just sort of having ownership over something. And by taking on Cornwall, making a success of it, it did really well. And more than anything, it started my design aspiration in terms of what I enjoyed doing. Following on from that, you gave me a 6-bed, 1-flat HMO.
Yes, a 6-bed HMO and a 1-bedroom self-contained flat. That was in Wolverhampton. That's Park Crescent, yeah.
But yeah, when we took it on, it had like holes in the floor.
That was a full-on refurb. And again, that was a lease option.
So that taught me a lot about being careful with budgets, because it becomes really expensive.
When Shareen always asks me, she goes, what's the budget on every project? And my default is you got £5,000, regardless of the work. So here, it was a full-on back-to-bare brick project where we had to install new bathrooms, we had to put in new kitchens and everything. So Shareen, you got it in £5,000. 29 grand later, £29,000 we spent on a property that we don't own. Now that's crazy. Oh, why I'm waving a knitting thing here.
It's a crochet.
Yeah, a crochet thing. Okay, so speak to anyone else. You said that we're absolutely crazy. But going back to one of Shareen's comments that she said at the start, that when I do my break-even analysis, I know exactly when I'm going to get that back. And then before we take the property on, I make sure that I run every eventuality for the break-even and the break-even analysis. And I look at low rents, I look at mid rents, I look at high-end rents, and I see where we sit and where that product is going to sit within that marketplace. Now, Shareen did a great job on that project, and that property's never been empty from the day that we've taken it on. And we've actually broke ceilings in Wolverhampton for the kind of rents that we generate for that property. So we've got rooms that are generating circa 500 to even 550 for a room with shared facilities. So they've got their own little kitchenettes, but they share the bathroom. So that's done really well. And my original projection was that it's going to take approximately 2 years for us to pay it back. We had the property on for a 7-year period, actually paid us back in 15 months. So that's done really well. And then going on from there,
I started pursuing my own interior design projects, and they've gone really well. I formed my own company, so I do interiors, both commercial and residential.
this isn't a pitch,
It's not.
It is.
But I'm styled by Essie if you're
so if
really
you
interested
want,
on Instagram.
Yeah, so go and check her out, Styled by Essie. I think the link is going to be somewhere around here or here or here or here. So anyway, the links are going to be there. Go and check her out, Styled by Essie. But more importantly, I suppose, how's it been? It's not been easy working together. Would you agree? Because before, I've had my office to disappear to, you've had your workspace to disappear to. Now we're kind of...
I think over the years it's got a lot better. We've had, like warts and all, we've had some proper blazing rows over things.
Yeah.
I remember once you said, as you walked into a project, one of the builders had said something to you, and they'd said, oh, well, Shareen said, do this. And you went, Shareen's not paying your bills.
She's not paying your bills. You do as I say.
And that night when Arsh got home and I'd said, that's it, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it. I'm not working with you anymore.
Shareen thinks, no, what Shareen's correct is that I like to micromanage. Would you agree, Shareen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I like to micromanage. So sometimes I have to get out into the mindset. And for those that are watching this, this is not the usual YouTube video that you probably see. But working with your partner, if you're in a relationship and you're working and you've now got a business relationship with your partner as well, that's tough. That's tough because would you say that sometimes we're going out to dinner?
Yeah, and we're still talking about it. And then you have to sort of say, right, okay, no more work time now. And I think the other thing, a lot of people are probably feeling like this with the shift of working from home. You're always working. It's so easy to go and switch your laptop on.
So we're recording this in your office, in our house.
Yeah.
And so
I'm still working.
Yeah, it's quarter past 10. Quarter past 10 as we're recording this.
So I think in terms of being a successful working couple, I think one of the big things is just know when to switch off and when you are husband and wife and when you are co-workers. I think over the years, like, I'm a legend, I've stayed the same. I've always been easy to work with. Arsh, not so much. But I think the real difference in the way that Arsh has changed over the years is that he's able to realise that criticism or the feedback is there to develop the relationship, not to criticise it. So knowing that something is feedback to kind of build you or to understand certain things about each other, take it as a positive, take it as this is constructive feedback. I'm telling you this for this reason.
I think the thing that I've developed from our relationship working together is that I kind of realised that everyone's got their own strengths. Before, going back to micromanaging, I've been managing the builders, I've been managing the plumbers, I'll be getting the materials, I'll be getting this. When it came to you and your design, we'll be looking at this, we'll be looking at that. And I had to step back and say, you know what? In actual fact, Shareen knows better than me at this. They know better at me at this. And then I've stepped back, and as a result, I've just looked at the project as a whole, and I looked at it from almost like a spreadsheet point of view.
Is that hard?
Sorry?
Is that hard?
That's really hard. From someone that likes control, like me.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, Podcast of the CEO by Stephen Bartlett. Really good, by the way. If you're listening, get in touch. I doubt he's listening. He is. Hello! But anyway, people don't see this side to me on YouTube. Normally, I'm quite serious. So
I remember once a tenant said to me...
You bring the jackass out in me, basically.
I remember once a tenant said to me, you're married to him.
Yeah. So no, normally they say you're married to that legend. That's what they normally say. Come on.
Yeah.
So listening to it, and part of it saying that is that being a CEO, it's lonely. It's lonely because who do you talk to about your problems? You kind of feel like people don't understand, And he said that when I'm sleeping or even when I'm in a relationship, I still feel alone, and I definitely feel like that sometimes because I don't want to share the burden. And I have been able to open up over the years, but it's taken me a long time to do that. Bear in mind that we've been married nearly 12 years, so it's very rare that I say to Shareen and I share the work problems. I'll kind of just do the manly thing, or I'll deal with it, or I'll crack on with it. But that's not really the best way. So I've learned how to delegate, I've learned how to unload the stress, and I think that's really worked in our relationship as well.
It has, it's certainly improved. I mean,
This feels like a therapy session, so yeah. So
our latest project, we talked about it.
So the latest project in Nottingham.
Okay. We talked about it on a Monday. Arsh said, can we go and see it? And I said, yeah, sure, I'm free on Friday. He said, can we go tomorrow? Right, okay, let me shuffle a few things around.
So if I mention something, Shareen, just for camera, if I say that I'm looking at the project, that basically means it's pretty much 99% already agreed.
So anyway, so we go and see it on the Tuesday.
So if I say I'm going to buy a car, it doesn't mean I'm looking at a car. It means that I've pretty much already done the deal. I'm just waiting for your validation.
So anyway, so we went to go and see it on the Tuesday. Had a look around. We were like, okay, yeah, it's really nice. And said to Arsh, it's got lots of potential, but it scares me. It feels like a big commitment, and I think a lot of women feel like that, don't they? Especially sort of jumping into something new. Do you think in property that there is, I know I'm generalising here, but I think women kind of are a little bit more apprehensive. They're a little bit more risk averse.
I don't know. I think there's some really brave women out in property. I think there's some really courageous, and they're doing great things.
But are they more risk averse?
Well, there's lots of different types of people, so there will be some, and I see some take on some massive projects where they've got JV finance or they've managed to pull the funding together, and to be fair, sometimes I sit there in awe.
Good.
I sit there in awe of them, but thinking, damn, okay, they've done that. They've only been in property a couple of years, whereas here I am, slogging my guts out 21 years later. But some of them are phenomenal. But then I see the other side of it, where some want to do it, but it's still, should we not? And by that point, the opportunity's passed.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm very much a case of if there's an opportunity, we get it, we appraise it, we calculate it, and property can be calculated to the nth degree if you allow it to. So you can put in as many contingency costs as possible. And if you load it with costs, and it still works, guess what? It's actually a good deal because you've loaded for every eventuality. So in our scenario with the ones in Nottingham, I put almost like a 25% contingency cost in and over and above the additional costs. So in actual fact, when you look at it, it's probably actually a 30% buffer. So I kind of knew where we we're going to go with that. And I looked at it from a whole point of view of how's our portfolio looking with, well, when I say that our portfolio, I'm looking about the kids' portfolio. How's that looking? What's that generating cash flow? And should we have some bad months in Nottingham? Can we still sustain that without having to put funds in ourselves? And that's a big thing for me, really, because I want to make sure that it is a sustainable portfolio.
Okay, so you hijacked my story.
Okay.
So anyway, we went to go and see it on the Tuesday. I said no, as I always do. And then Arsh went away and spoke to the other guy and we talked about it and then sort of worked away at me. And I think we'd agreed in principle by the Friday. And you said, yeah, we'll get the keys and it'll be on the Friday. So then you said, can you put some looks together? Can you put rooms together? And I said, look, I've worked for service accommodation companies. This normally takes us 2 weeks. You put a look together, you sit at a computer, you make a mood board. He goes, we haven't got 2 weeks, so can you get on with it? So that was it. We did a trip to IKEA, had a little look around, and I said, okay, I know what I'm doing now, leave it with me. I went to go and see it again, I think on the Tuesday. So it'd been a week later, and that was it. Project started on the Thursday. So in under 2 weeks, we were moving furniture in.
Under 2 weeks, we got it complete.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Under 2 weeks, we got it complete. And so, but I suppose, if I was to put it nicely, if we left it to you and your time frames.
Oh, I'd still be there.
So I suppose in that respect, from your point of view, do you need someone to kind of push you along? Push you along is probably the wrong way to put it, but steer you in kind of a direction.
I think it's in part of sort of having a good working relationship is about accountability, isn't it? In terms of if you're accountable to somebody or if you've got somebody that you're checking in with.
How many times do you tell me to F off on this?
A lot.
Yeah, so that happens. And to be fair, as long as you've got someone that can actually...
No, but in terms of accountability, I knew, okay, I need to get it listed by this day and by this day and I need to do that. And I need
No,
to
shall we tell them about the challenge? I said to Shareen that I reckon I could deliver a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom apartment faster than she could and under budget.
You would have never have done
I
it.
still would have done it.
You would never have done it. He didn't even try.
You know who you're talking to.
You didn't even try. You would have put a cardboard box in there. You
So,
would have put
okay, let's
there.
put this out. Let's put this out to vote then. So, do you think Arsh would have delivered it on time, under budget?
And styled.
And styled, easy.
And have all the furniture that it needs.
Easy.
Under budget.
Under budget, easy. So...
See, this is the thing, right? I think working in interiors, I've learnt the art of little things that you won't know. Like where to go for beds and mattresses, who to use for certain things, what, discount websites to look at, where I can use, trade accounts and things like that. You wouldn't know that.
I would have learnt it.
In the time frame.
Which is exactly what I'm doing with the property journey.
In the time frame.
Yeah, I do, kind of. But anyway, let's keep moving on. I feel like I'm going to get, if we don't finish wrap this up soon, I'm going to get black eye. Black eyes. That's why I'm wearing the glasses today, just to make sure that you can't hit someone with glasses. So anyway,
right. I just need to give them one last anecdote of times when you will hate your partner, but then it all works out. So I'd just done a mega long day in Nottingham on site. The furniture's delayed, things happen, and I said, look, you've been there for a couple of days now. The girl's really missing you. Can you come home? I said, right, okay, I could, but I've got to get this done and got to get that done. And he goes, look, and then he did the unforgivable. He FaceTimed with our daughters, and then the youngest one's crying on the phone, and she's on FaceTime. She's like, Mama, I haven't seen you. She's crying. And I was like, okay, fine. So do as much as I can on site, jump in the car, race all the way home, hour and a half home, get home, say hi to the kids who've waited up for me at this point, say hi to the kids. The youngest one had fallen asleep already. Going to the lounge, Arsh is sitting, watching football, his laptop's on the floor. So I'm like, oh yeah, he's been working this evening. And he goes, oh, how'd you get on? And I said, yeah, it's getting there. And he goes, we're going to have them photographed and listed by the end of the week. And I was like, well, we're getting there. And he's like, have you photographed them? And I no. And he goes, thought you can photograph them? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get it done. I showered, repacked my bag. 20 minutes later, I was back in the car going back to Nottingham. I was just like, I need to just go and get it done.
And to be fair, I'm a big stickler for deadlines, and I'm conscious of the fact that we've got rent-free period on this building. So from the business point of view, I kind of stick with that decision, because otherwise, I do stick with that decision. I'm a little bit stubborn.
Savage. You sent me back to Nottingham out of pure guilt. And then the next day, I did an 18 18-hour day just to get those apartments ready.
That's what it takes, you know. Unfortunately, that's what it takes to get stuff. It's not all glamorous, you know. We will end up like today. I've had people that have unfortunately not been able to call into work. So I've been, other than the things that I've normally been doing, I've been on the phones constantly, talking to people on the Property Investor app. It's about pitching in. It's more importantly, it's about knowing that sometimes you have to drop everything and you have to do whatever it takes. But more important, it's about the timescales. So if you understand that you've got a rent-free period, if you understand the fact that you're on a time frame and that every day that we're not being listed, we're not being seen by potential customers, which means that we're not getting bookings, which means that we're not generating revenue, which also then means that it's potentially putting pressure on then finding the funds to pay this guy within a certain period of time. These are things that you do need to understand from a business point of view, and perhaps I've come across wrong in that respect, but we need to make sure that we're running on time frame. So from the management point of view, I kind of stand by that.
I did an 18-hour day. I was at home for 20 minutes that week.
The other 364 days you don't do 18-hour days, so it's cool.
Shut up.
So one
I'm
day,
still
you know
here.
what, it's all right, one day you'll live.
Whatever.
One day.
That's the only, yeah, I think working on site and working on projects is not knowing when to quit. Remember when we did Cornwall and we did a refurb on 2, and our poor builder who was staying over with us, bless him, he's so lovely.
Everyone's learning about this. Do not work with Shareen. If you're a builder, if you're a tradesperson, stay away from this lady. No. She will make you work 21-hour days.
No, we got to bed about 4 o'clock that morning, just because once again we needed to get it finished, and you know, fair play, he kept up and he stayed with it. But I learned a lot on that job. I learned how to wallpaper, I learned how to board walls, I learned how to
in 21 years I've never wallpapered a wall. I've never boarded a wall. I've never wired a light or anything like that.
Wired as well.
I've not done that because I learned the art of delegation. I learned the art of delegation because I don't want to be a builder. I don't want to be an electrician.
Oh, I love it.
I want to delegate. And then so by you doing all those things, you could perhaps have hindered the time frame of those projects. And this is not criticism, but this is perhaps...
because the decorators who we hired, which were local decorators, couldn't talk and work at the same time. They would stop every time they needed to talk. They were well behind schedule. They would not have finished if I didn't pitch in and do what I had to do.
But on that project, you were electrician, decorator, carpenter, delivery lady,
got it done.
Sourcing materials lady.
Got it done.
You got it done.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, so it's a real random YouTube video.
I'm going to punch him after this.
Yeah, of course. Next week, if I've got the wrong, I'll talk to like this. No, but hopefully you've enjoyed that video because I'm hoping that you've learnt that, you know, working with your partner.
It's not always roses.
No, it's not always roses. It has lots of ups and downs. And if you're working with your partner, first of all, I congratulate you.
You ladies deserve a medal.
She deserves a medal putting up with me because some of the brainstorms and some of the ideas that I come up with, there are times at 3 o'clock in the morning I wake up and go, Shareen, stop snoring. No, and then after that I said, I've got an idea. And there's lots of those times. Lots of those times I've got an idea and she says, go and write it down. She says, go and write it down. And then, I tend to write it down and then start to exploring it, start thinking about it. And then that's where the idea then turns into concept and into the product. So women deserve medals, guys deserve a pat on the back from time to time. Arsh, you done good? Got some good properties for the kids?
Yes, you have.
Managed to get you to create you an income, and not a very nice income to be fair. Very nice income. And from all the properties that you manage, so we put through a management charge and you're managing all those. So we've got properties in Liverpool, got properties in Cornwall, now got properties in Nottingham. I kind of manage the stuff in Wolverhampton, but that's a different kind of stock. So it kind of works well. It works
I get to do the nice stuff in terms of, I get complete ownership. I do the nice things like having nice labels on bottles and the guest experience, I think, more than anything, which I really enjoy. Yeah,
I get to deal with HMO tenants, which is, if you manage HMO tenants, you know exactly what I mean. So guys, on that note, I really hope you've enjoyed this session. Hopefully it's just give you another little insight as to what life's like as a property investor. And if you've got a partner that you work with, or sometimes you just want to bounce ideas off, you've probably seen how we kind of interact with each other. You can see by the look that she's given me. But on that, so if you want more free content, first of all, a couple of things. Go and check out Shareen's Instagram. It's styled by SE.
Styled by _SE.
Styled by _SE. I haven't followed you. And then on top of that, if you want to listen to my podcast, so I've got a podcast that's called The Property Rebel. You can find it on all podcast stores, so Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, just to name a few. As well as that, find me on social media, find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse occasionally.
Are you on TikTok yet?
No, I don't smash TikTok.
That's going to be next.
Yeah,
Needs to be on
no,
TikTok.
I can't do TikTok. I'm too old for TikTok.
Too old.
So finally, if you haven't already done so and you want to see some of the projects that we've done, or you want some inspiration, or if you want to buy a property and you want Shareen to do all the interior designing on it, or do some boards for it, perhaps some design boards.
Yeah, I think more than anything, a lot of people get overwhelmed with the amount of choice and the options that are out there. I shop on the high street. A lot of my stuff is either pre-loved or it's things that I've picked up from B&M, and it's just about picking the right things, the right look, and just filling a space and doing that well. So it's not too bad. But yeah, if you've got a big project coming up, I've got some good links with companies that can deliver and get you on the right way.
So yeah, but if you've seen a property or you want to look for a property, go and check out the Property Investor app. So 2 ways to get involved. So you can either go to propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it. It takes 2 minutes to download and register, and you'll see approximately 200 property deals right in the palm of your hand. So on that note, as we said, slightly different. Wanted to bring out a bit more of a humane side to me, and you can see what like home work-life balance is like. And we can't really promote that because, you know, we say this now, it's 10:30 in the evening. So yeah, work-life balance, yay. But on that note, guys, from Shareen and myself, as always, wish you to be safe, well and happy. And I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thanks.